Today we're talking patch editing with the M1 from Korg. This is a beautiful beast and possibly seen as a little bit outdated, but you can still do a lot of great stuff with it. And I'm going to show you the basics. So orienting you to the board, there are combination and program patches that are called Combi and Prog, and each one of them is selectable, and they each have their own edit button immediately to the right of them on the left there. Next, we have to talk about the value slider. This is the way that you'll change values of parameters. Parameters are nested and that may seem annoying, but honestly, when you get the hang of it, it's not that hard. And now we have to think about the parameters and pages, and the parameters are the buttons right beneath the digital display, and the pages are the up and down button to the right of them. These are going to help you navigate through all the ways you can edit a patch and write it as needed. And before we go further, we should note that there are system librarians and editors that can be used with connecting to your computer directly, and this will potentially be far easier, but I actually like using the controls within the system. With the power up, you're gonna hear the Combi program universe, which is great kinda, but like also, it gets a little tired after a while, as do all the other 99 presets that are included in this synth, whether they be Combi or program patches. So even before you can go into the edit mode on the program or Combi patches, you can still affect the parameters. So to do that, you would select the parameter you want to adjust and hit the value. But here I am adjusting the Combi parameters and going through each one. There are multiple pages for this, so I can change everything from the patches that are being layered, how they're being layered or split within the Combi program. You can't do that within the program patches, but then you can also put on different waves, adjust the VCF, the LFO, and apply effects. So there's a lot you can do, and of course there's the ADSR as well, which is all in pretty complex, and you can make sounds that do not sound like a PCM keyboard with this system without the use of additional effects. As I go through the pages here and change the wave type, I can radically change the sound, and honestly the keyboard is a little bit old, and like some of the EQing on it is a bit weird, especially with my setup. So like some of the sounds are incredibly bass intensive, which for me, like I kind of like that. I'm looking for raw sounds out of an older digital keyboard like this to make kind of industrial sounds. But if you're looking for pretty sounds, you may definitely want to think about EQing your thing, and you can do some level of that within the effects, but like on the whole there's some limitations here, and you can really make like treble heavy or bass heavy patches depending on how you're working, and that may be to your advantage, and I think it would be. And now turning on various effects, you can do a lot. There are tremolos, there are delays, there are reverbs, there are distortions. There's a lot of really good effects, and you can layer 2 effects on every patch, both in Combi and program mode. And that makes things pretty wild because the effects don't sound bad, and with every effect you do have control over how they're EQ'd, as I was just saying, but also like how intense are they, and do they operate in in parallel or in series? And doing that really can create some dynamic sound. So I think like with low attack, like zero attack, and zero release, you can make some really cool crunchy industrial sounds before you even do anything outside the M1 to manipulate that sound. So It is pretty cool, and I would definitely say if you think this keyboard is dated, you're just probably not using it right. And you can be dangerous like me right here, writing the edited patch right on top of the presets if you want to do that. But you also may want to use that system librarian to download it. So now let's look at editing a program patch. Again, I'm going to click that program button to the right of the program for editing, and I'm going to find a patch that I want to tweak. And using a good kind of like bass sound to me is a good start. And here I'm still just messing around with the parameters of the preset itself to see what it can do. When I go into the edit of the probe patch, then I can go through everything and truly have as much flexibility as I want. The only limitations I'm seeing are that some effects don't work with some tones, which is, I guess, just to make sure that the sounds don't sound too crappy. But otherwise, you can pretty much do anything with this and you'll get to some good spots. I'm going to make this into a kind of a noisy mono synth sound, which is just something that I always want to be able to have access to as a musician in 2025. I don't always need the orchestral kind of feeling of a polysynth, and so that's what we'll be doing here. So from the first page of the editing mode for the program, I can go and change this from a polysynth to a monosynth, and all of a sudden it feels way more analog, and now I can just add the amount of kind of grind and other things that I want to do to shape the sound. And that's likely to include going to the next page where I can change the wave and make this sound like something more like I'd want it to do. And this for me is starting to sound kind of cool. I'd probably put some more effects on it, but right now it's starting to feel like something that could be used in a modern song. So you can go through each of the pages and make the parameter adjustments that you want to do. You can write those patches to the presets if you want. If you have a card, maybe there are cards you can write to, but chances are you'll probably want to get that system librarian or editor that I was talking about. But when you start seeing what this synth can do, you really do understand like what an icon it was. This was, a synth that's almost 40 years old at this point and still really does feel capable. The platform itself is strong, it's deep. It is a little bit annoying that you have to go through many different kind of layers to get to each of the parameters you want to work with. But as you start adding effects, you start seeing what can be done within the box itself. It really does show that this synthesizer, which can be picked up for like $100 or maybe $200 max today, is still highly capable and really worth your time, especially if you're interested in making some somewhat nostalgic tracks, but also if you just want to like work on new stuff or learn or get inspired by the application of some ancient technology. So hopefully you found this interesting. It's really just cracking the ice on what you can do with this synth. But either way, thanks for watching.